Welcome to the Hangry Games Arena, where Kelly Brewster, the author of What's Eating You and host of the Hangry Games, is shaking up the weight loss world. She's providing you with tons of resources and helpful tips to obtain your long-term wellness and weight loss goals once and for all. The Hangry Games is recorded and produced at Open Space Studios.
Hey there, Hangry Game Nation. How you guys doing today? Well, as always, it's good to be back in the studio, spending some time with some of my favorites. It's so good to be here. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to settle in and listen or even watch the podcast. When you're committed to your wellness and your weight loss journey, anything that you add to your artillery that provides insight, assistance, and yes, at times a kick in the pants, can prove to be priceless with the lifestyle commitment. I pray that you've had some time this week to work on your takeaways from last week. And I really do hope that you've used your prep steps in all things to work through the meat of the topic. Hopefully have had some good applicable takeaways that you've been able to use this week, because that's what it's all about. If you just listen to the podcast, but you're really not implementing anything, then really it's just entertainment at that point, right? It's not really doing anything long-term anyway. So make some use of it, right? So if you are unfamiliar with what the prep steps are, please check out our website, prepforit.com. I do have some information on the book, on the workbook, and of course, many other resources at your disposal. So take advantage of that, people, really. So anyway, okay, so what are we going to talk about today? What are we going to cover today, Kelly? I am so glad that you asked. You know, there are many times when I am doing a follow-up visit with one of my patients for their weight loss and wellness, and I'm going over their history and, you know, finding out about their progress, talking about their medication, updates on that, any adverse reactions, things like that, how they did since their last appointment, what worked, what didn't. And then I will, you know, we talk about the eating plan and all of that. Have you followed it? What's worked, what haven't worked there? And then we'll get, everything will be great. It's great. And then I'll go, okay, well, what about exercise? And they're like, but, and I'm not talking about like, but meaning no in another language. It's like, you know what, Kelly, I had incorporated exercise into the mix, but I twisted my ankle. I started working out and then I got in a car accident and my back has been giving me trouble. Or they're down the back, which that's an inside joke. I never, my husband says that and I'm like, that just doesn't even make any sense. But anyway, they've had some back trouble, right? Or they're like, I was doing so good with my exercise, Kelly. I was working out, I was doing weights, and then I recently had to have an emergency surgery and now I'm restricted from exercise. So what happens when this happens? This is just part of our journey, folks. I mean, there will be times that this will happen. So what do you do when you crowd surf off of your stairs at home and there are no crowds there at the bottom waiting on you? And yes, this totally happened to me. So I was coming downstairs one evening. I had just finished working out and I was doing a bar workout. And I mean, I'm not too familiar with it, but they all had their shoes off. So I'm like, well, if they have their shoes off, I'm taking my shoes off. And so what did I do? I took my shoes off and I was in my socks. And so once I was done with the exercise, I'm making my way down the stairs, and on about the 5th or 6th step, my left leg came right out from underneath me and went to the left, and I felt the pop. And then I went lateral, like Superman would be flying sideways, down to the bottom of the stairs. My husband was sitting working on something on his phone and just heard this big noise and just saw me basically flying by. And basically I actually tore my MCL. And so I didn't need surgery or anything like that, but I was in a brace for 8 weeks. And that was really a bummer because what did I just get finished doing? Working out. So I wasn't able to do those workouts like I normally would. And so the first thing you start thinking about is, oh my gosh, what happens? You know, what happens now? I wound up with emergency gallbladder surgery or appendicitis, and I'm in the middle of this kick butt workout and wellness journey. Now what do I do? These are great questions, and it was a question that I posed to myself actually as well. And so today we are going to briefly discuss what to do when you have been put on injured reserve. You've had that emergency appendectomy in the middle of that, again, kick butt weight loss journey, and how you can quickly regain that momentum that you have worked so hard to achieve. Now, honestly, I don't think there is anything more frustrating in this journey than when you are seeing great, tangible progress, I should say, with your weight loss and wellness, and something is just out of your control, derails you like that. I mean, it totally derailed me. You know, it's one thing when you go on a weekend at Bernie's binge-a-thon and you're just like eating whatever's in the pantry, but you do that to yourself, right? That's something I did to myself. But you know, and you can kind of go over it in your head and you're like, okay, I paid to play. It is what it is. But what about when you are doing everything right? Everything is going well and the results are coming in. They look great. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the workout, you pull a hammy, right? Or you are, as we talked about earlier, down in the back. It can be very just frustrating, and it's very discouraging, and it makes you want to spend some time with your old friends, Ben and Jerry. It makes you just want to, I'm frustrated. So when you have successfully incorporated rigorous exercise into your weight loss journey, you are igniting your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which allows you to burn at rest. This allows you to burn calories when you're not doing a thing, and it does help you to achieve sustained weight loss. And we want that, right? Remember, we do need to burn about 3,500 calories in 35 calories just to see a 1 pound weight loss. And so when you exercise, and we know that exercise is the X factor, right? It stands to reason that this is absolutely essential for your long-term gains. Now, many people that are doing just this and then experience an injury will often the first thing they want to do is, okay, if I'm not working out, the first thing I need to do is cut back on my calories. And they just start like this maybe very low calorie diet. And that's not always the best thing to do. By doing that, you could be negatively affecting your speedy recovery and delaying the ability to get back on that racehorse to see amazing progress. Your body needs healing, and that healing requires minerals, it requires resources, it requires some of those nutrients that you would want to take in. So when you do something like a very low calorie diet, it can create almost like a counterproductive component there. And this can even be more of an issue for those that have like a lower extremity issue and they find themselves trying to maneuver themselves through life for the next 8 weeks. Like for me, I was on crutches for the first 2. I don't want any weight on your leg for the first 2 weeks. I'm like, are you kidding me? I still saw patients, but it was very difficult. And if you've ever had to rely on crutches, and I will tell you I have, they can plumb wear you out. They absolutely wear you out. It takes a lot out of your upper body just to get that lower bum going where you want it to go. So whether you're using crutches or not fewer calories, it can make you more susceptible to losing strength and power in that healing process. So it's very important. We don't want to do any kind of major restriction because you are still burning calories just in a different sense, right? So believe it or not, from a metabolic standpoint, muscle takes up a lot of your real estate. It requires a lot of upkeep. So when you cut too many calories, right, this can be applied to that very low calorie diet we talked about, then the body is going to try to get rid of what's taking up the most calories. So what is it going to try to get rid of first? Because it's going to go into survival mode mentality. It's going to try to get rid of your muscle mass. So doing a very low calorie intake when you have an injury could be very, very detrimental to you. Specifically, there's an article that was written by UW Health that provided a few suggestions on how to kind of maintain that nutrition and the healthy eating so that maybe I don't continue to lose weight, but I'm maintaining at this time until I can get back into my workouts and regimens. And a few of the things that they talked about is just really, and this is quite simple, it's easy stuff, Eat a balanced diet. Of course, this goes without saying, but focus on good, low to moderate glycemic index fruits. They're very good. They've got a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, so you're getting a lot of things that are going to help you with that building up of that, repairing that injury, repairing that tissue, and making things kind of, better, getting it back to where it was before. Fruit does provide a lot of those things. It is essential for that tissue repair and are very healthy options, especially when you're hungry, because you've been working out and you've got that little bit of that hunger that happens with that exercise, which we talked about in a previous podcast. And so when you just all of a sudden abruptly stop, that hunger doesn't just shut off. And so if we're going to have to try to shut some of that out, but then we have to listen to some of it, at least let's make some healthy options along the way that can make a world of difference. Cutting carbs is huge, and I would add here, increasing good, healthy proteins could pay massive dividends in your recovery journey. It really can. So when you are doing a lot of strenuous activity, and we have come to the realization, right, that walking is just the beginning, we don't count that as strenuous, right? So if you're like, yeah, but I was walking, great. But that's like, remember, the admission into the amusement park, it gets me in, but it doesn't get me on the ride. But when you're doing these really strenuous exercises and you're working out significantly, you're likely incorporating more complex carbohydrates into your diet. So you are affording yourself a little bit of that flexibility there. If you are experiencing an injury or a post-surgery recovery, cutting back on the volume of carbs can make a little bit of a difference in relation to your overall health. Now, what we want most of all is to retain that good muscle mass, and what better way to do this to ensure that you're getting incredibly good sources of protein and those complex carbs. But again, those complex carbs don't have to be an excessive amount. Vegetables have a lot of good vitamins and minerals. And we've talked about this in a previous podcast. That half moon should be on your plate, should be filled with vegetables, and then just a palm size or that small portion for the protein and that small portion for that complex carb. From a calorie standpoint, I would say, I think we're going to talk about this in just a second. You may want to tone the calorie intake down a little bit, and a lot of that's going to depend on what you were previously eating with your exercise, and you may have to find that new sweet spot when it comes to the calorie intake. Another big thing, we'll come back to that in a second, but I just wanted to mention that there. Another big thing here is hydrating is absolutely crucial in this recovery period. It allows you to control your appetite. It allows you for healthy functions of all of the organs that are actually going to help you with your recovery. And it's just a key component in overall wellness anyway. So make sure you're hydrating well with good stuff. I don't want you hydrating on a soda. No, thank you. No, sir, we won't have another. Okay. Just really hot water, really good. I would avoid a lot of sugary juices and stuff. Water is going to always be a great go-to, really will be. When it comes to, vitamins and supplements, there really are no magic pills when it comes to recovery. There is really nothing out there, no hyperbaric chamber, ice bath, electrodes that are going to make your body heal faster. It may provide some resources to give you a platform for better healing, but if you've got a tear, that tear has to repair. Nothing's just going to seal it up unless you have some type of surgery that's required, right? And you're still going to have to recover with that. Yes, some of these methods do, like I said, have benefits, but we all heal differently, and we really have to just listen to our bodies. Now, the experts around you, they're really going to help you a lot. You want to listen to them. They're going to try to help you with strategies. Physical therapists are really helpful here as well. What they're going to do is they're going to tell you to take it easy. They're going to give you a plan of action that's going to help you take your time so that they're trying to support your endeavor, but get you back to the healthiest version of you. Mega doses of these vitamins and these minerals, if you've got an expert trying to push that on you, I think that there's something to be said about, calcium if you've got a break or something like that. But, mega doses aren't going to change anything, but it can affect your organ's ability to process. So, more is not better always. So just kind of keep that in mind, Believe it or not, the initial inflammatory process that occurs immediately after an injury can serve as a catalyst to the body's healing process, sending out an alarm to the main organs saying, hey, Houston, we have a problem, so that they can focus on and draw their attention to the injury that's at hand. So actually that inflammatory process it affords to give the body something that it needs to identify, hey, we do have this issue, let's start working on the healing process. So it just can be more productive, I guess. So the best course of action for our weekend warriors that have been sidelined is just slow and steady and giving your body all of the building blocks it needs to be successful in the recovery process. Eating the wide variety of fruits, vegetables, good lean proteins with healthy fats, and you're well on your way to a healthy, healing you. And believe it or not, these are all the same things, right? That you're going to eat when you're trying to get healthy and weight loss anyway. So this is probably more than anything, if not maintain you might even actually lose a couple of pounds in the process. And you do want to ensure that the calorie intake, we said we would talk about this again, is enough to support the healing process. Like, again, I don't recommend doing these very low calorie diets because I don't think that's helpful. It's going to get rid of the most expensive real estate, which is your muscle. But I would say that about 1,100 to 1,200 calories is probably a good intake to start with. And then, of course, if you see that I'm putting on a little bit more weight, then you might pull back. Or if you feel like I'm losing and it's not a good thing, and you're seeing some atrophy to your muscles, like just some weakness to the muscles, then you might want to bump that up. And that might be more maybe on the protein side, I am a big supporter of utilizing external resources. And I talked about the physical therapist a second ago, these experts that do know what is going to be beneficial to getting you back into the game. They can help a world of hurt. They really can. Great techniques, exercise, modalities to help you with that healing process and just to get you back in the game as quick and as safely as possible. But again, it isn't going to be a game-changing thing. Your body is your body, and it's going to take its own time to heal based on everybody individually. And finding alternative methods of exercise can be very helpful too. And physical therapists a lot of times will give you good examples on things to do when you are limited with range of motion with certain parts of the body. An example for this would be, let's say you hurt your finger. I know you can't see this, but I got a big old bruise on my finger because I got hit by the pickleball last night. But let's say you get hurt, you hurt your finger in a pickleball injury, but that's really, yes, I hurt my hand, but that really shouldn't stop me from doing any of my lower body workouts, even cardio for that matter. This is not going to affect it, and it can easily, I know that I'm going to easily mend, and it's not going to really affect too much. Swimming is also really good. It's a great exercise, alternative exercise that can easily be implemented when you are in a recovery mode, especially for like joints or muscles. And that isometrics in the pool can be very effective with maintaining that muscle mass in the process. Another thing that even physical therapists will actually recommend sometimes is Pilates. This is a great type of exercise that can help with range of motion for joints, tissue, and for muscle repair. So you may not have been a Pilates fan before, but when you get an injury, maybe that becomes your new BFF, right? Who knows? So you can't drop and you can't give me 20. What can you work on right now that can help you with your overall wellness journey? Maybe you start focusing more on your meal prepping and your recipe discoveries, like finding new interesting recipes that you can work on. Maybe getting better sleep habits in place during this time. Those are things that are still part of that weight loss process that maybe you kind of put on the back burner because you were really focusing on the exercise. And now that the exercise has derailed you, maybe you can kind of put those back to the forefront and start working on them again. You never know. Might be the trick for you. Allowing it to just take some time to mend, so really rest, really give your body the rest that it needs. so that you can be the best version of yourself to have that A game back, right? Just remember, one small step over time leads to really big changes, right? Here's what I don't want. I don't want you to develop some type of injury and then decide to wallow in your misery, okay? Decide to throw a pity party and get on Amazon looking for some great party favors for the event. Stop, okay? Despite the injury occurring, make lemonade out of those lemons and focus on those other things. It is not the end of the world if you have a knee injury. It's not the end of the world if you had to have that emergency gallbladder or appendectomy surgery. It's a detour. It's a rest stop. And before you know it, you're going to be back on your feet and back on that journey. And take that time, like I said before, take that time to just do something else in the weight loss journey, in the wellness journey. Take the time, get the rest, get the sleep, do the recipe discoveries, read the books, read the What's Eating You book. Do the things that are going to help you when you are ready to get back into the game. The takeaways here, guys, this is a quick one today. The takeaways here are very, very simple. Good technique when you are training forgives a world of hurt. And it's the bottom line. That's the truth. So focus on what you do when you exercise right now. Where are those potentials for injuries? And work on bettering your technique. And a lot of that can help. Now, obviously, if an injury occurs, sometimes you can't avoid it, right? And motor vehicle accident, somebody hits you can't avoid that, right? How can I implement some different strategies for wellness and weight loss at this time while still maintaining my muscle mass? Because that's really what it comes down to. We don't want to lose any of that muscle mass in the process. Use the prep steps to work through some of those sustainable strategies and prepare for that unexpected. Like, what happens if I do have an injury? What am I going to do? And what am I going to implement so that I see some ongoing progress even during that time? And as always, thoroughly enjoyed this time hanging out with you guys. Make sure, check out our website for the free resources and recipes. And just remember, you will be all right. An ounce of prevention goes a long way in this journey. Peace out, my friends. Have a good one, and I will talk to you soon.